So basically in today's session we will talk about the potential acuity assessment, right? uh, what is the basically potential acuity assessment? Means simply when the eye come under the category of cataract or any media ocular opacity, right? So at that time, as a examiner or as a clinical practice, you have to assess the visual acuity or retinal visual acuity, how much visual acuity they have preserved, right, after the visual impairment. And the cause of impairment might be possibility glaucoma, cataract, penetrating keratoplasty, and so on, right? So I just give you the gross idea before going to begin the session. What is the potential acuity assessment? As a practitioner, why we have to assess the potential acuity measurement on which type of patient, or it is regularly assessment or not, right? So just look at a graph. Basically potential acuity assessment, right? The word define the meaning of entire session. Potential means how much power, right? How much power, common meaning of potential, right? And I relate that potential into the as a clinical practice within a fraction of second. Just wait and watch. Potential acuity means we know visual acuity means resolving power of eye, right? Normally conventional chart or Snellen's chart we use for resolving power of eye or visual acuity assessment, they are hanging on the wall or projected by on a mirror or optically folded room, right? But here happen the same thing, but the procedure of assessment is getting different, right? And assessment means to find out, means how much power of the eye after facing the ocular impairment or media opacity or lens cloudy, right? How they perform their normal function, or how patient complain up to you what they face actually after getting involvement this type of media opacity, right? So what actually happen, just assume, just think like that. As a practical I give you an example. Just suppose this is eye, right? This is eye, right? And I just use a multiple color which make your understanding easy. This is a lens, right? And this part is basically iris, and this is zonule, right? And this is zonule, iris. Now tell me, if this part or protein of lens getting denatured, right, after a certain period of time, the crystalline lens is lost their transparency, right? Or due to any cause or any reason, retina lost their function or cornea lost their transparency, what actually happen? Just I take an example of cataract normally, right? Just assume this is a cataract, right? Means whole part is getting involved, right? And only few part is are still able to pass the light to form the retinal image, right? Just assume this is a case, because I already told you I can take a case here, a cataract. Now when a patient come up to you and complain normally their vision is getting diminished, right? So first question is here, how much? And the second question is, what is the cause of diminution of vision, right? So as a examiner you simply relate all these things, because patient already mentioned their name, age, and their chief complaint. And when you take the proper history of the patient say everything, what actually happening and why their vision is getting reduced, right? As just for example I give you two or three scenes to relate all these things. When you see the patient, just assume if patient say if they are young, it might be possibility they are cataract, yes, might be possibility or not, this is the different case, right? Just assume if they have a traumatic cataract, then it's okay. If not, or if they are aged, means definitely they have a cataract. Cataract have a different criteria: immature, mature, right? So on so. Lost their transparency. It means a still patient vision is getting diminished, right? If glaucoma, IOP, intraocular pressure is interfere with the retinal configuration, right? So might be possibility vision is getting reduced. Now I come to the point. If patient cataract, right, after proper diagnosis, as you are a examiner or eye care practitioner, what you have to do, just take a vision, right? Vision, not a visual acuity. Vision is a different thing, visual acuity is a different thing, right? Sometime examiner take these two things in a same perspective, but vision is basically without any correction, that is a vision. If they are corrected by already any spectacles or anything, that is called acuity, because how much resolving power is present after prescribing or after taking a proper diagnosis or a treatment, right? So that is a visual acuity and that is a normally vision. So take a vision, right, and start record the value, normal value, normally at a conventional Snellen's chart, right? If patient is not able to read that chart, it means, and you already define the patient have a cataract, right? So what you have to do, just simply start measuring the potential acuity of that patient. Now what is a potential acuity testing? Because when you are going to assess the potential acuity, so what is the actually meaning? The basically actually meaning, the potential acuity testing is how much retinal power still have a patient after ocular media getting dense or cloudy, right? So how much image they are still perceive on the retina. So what we have to do, just simply use the instrument, right? Because we are now present in a modern life, so I have a lot of option. So we use here just for measuring the potential acuity assessment. So potential acuity meter, basically this is an instrument, right? And the another instrument is a interferometry, right? They also used for measuring the potential acuity assessment. So basically in this session we will discuss about the potential acuity meter, right? So what is a potential acuity meter? I just give you the gross idea about the potential acuity meter, then I will show how you measure or how what is the actually happening when you take the measurement of potential acuity measurement, right? The basically potential acuity measurement is made up of Snellen's chart, a bulb, right? Visual acuity, already I told you the Snellen's chart, right? And the combination of prism, right? All these things are responsible for measurement of PAM, right? And I will show you what is the actually diagram of the PAM, potential acuity meter, right? Before going to diagrammatic presentation, I just give you how all these assessments are performed by the earlier or a previous time, around 18th century, right? They use simply pinhole, right, and try to use through the pinhole, right? Basically this is a cloudy media. If there is a space out or any place where is light is still passing inside the eye, right, they use and form the image. So basically this pinhole might be sometime is not as much as beneficial as it should be, right, or as our assumption. So modern potential acuity meter, I just show you what actually happening. If we use the potential acuity meter during the testing of the pinhole, basically this is also based on the pinhole principle, but here in potential acuity meter there is Maxwellian view, right? Diffraction of Maxwellian view. If just assume 1 mm, right, 1 mm aperture is good for passing through the ray without any diffraction. If the aperture is getting reduced than 1 mm, it causes the diffraction, which reduces the visual acuity. Just assume patient is already cataract, right? It means their visual acuity is already low, right? So we have to assess the simply how much visual acuity they perceive, still they perceive after facing the visual impairment or a cataract, right? So what we have to do, I just give you the diagrammatic presentation of simply potential acuity meter, right? Then I will show you how we use here all these things in at a time. Suppose this is a eye, right? In potential acuity meter there is a bulb, right? Here is a bulb, this is a bulb basically, right? And it define the aperture, here is aperture, right? Now light coming from here, right, and goes down. As light goes down, here is a prism setup, right? Just for bending the light I use this prism as a green. Here is a prism setup. When the light falling onto the prism, they getting change their path, right? After that also getting change their path, right? When the light change their path, they again goes upside, right? When they go upside, here is also another prism which also help to bending the light path, right? And when they goes up like this, right, and they goes up like this, after that they change their path like this, right? And after changing the path, here is again another prism is situated, which again change the path of this ray, right, and turn into the patient eye. And now here is finally patient eye. Just assume this is a patient eye, right? This is a patient eye. I will show not up to this the optical diagram or basically the potential acuity diagram presentation is getting finished. There is more thing is here, I draw it one by one. Here basically visual acuity, right? Their illumination is more or higher than the normal conventional Snellen's visual acuity chart, right? And here a condensing lens is also present, 12 diopter condensing lens, right? And all these setup are fixed inside the box, right? Basically this is the diagrammatic representation of potential acuity meter, right? And now I will show you what actually happening inside here, right? So before going to what actually happening inside the eye, I just describe the some few essential point of the PAM, potential acuity meter, right? Just note, this is a bulb, right, aperture controlling bulb, because I already mentioned if the slit aperture is less than 1 mm, they produce diffraction, right? So this is a control aperture, because here is a media opacity. If some patient have a full media opacity and inside the lens there is any path which allow the light inside the eye, right, to make the retinal image, means the entire mission is getting success. Because as a practitioner our mission is to just justify how much retina is functioning, right, or image formation take place or not. So if they are getting, so according to the aperture control we can control the light path and entering into the eye, finally up to the retina, right? Second, when light is coming, here is a prism, right, and they bend the light. Here is a visual acuity, through the visual acuity aperture edge, here is again condensing lens, because when the light is deviated from this prism they getting diverge, so they converge all the ray and again expelled out from outside, and then again use here a prism to constrict or make the light path into the patient eye, right? So what is the conclusion of PAM? Basically has one prism, two prism, three prism. Means in the PAM basically three prism, right? And here is one condensing lens basically. So what is the function of condensing lens? They bend or condense the whole light which is coming from the or traveling through the or via Snellen's, right, value, and this Snellen's value contain the letter and number, right, according to the patient, because normally Snellen's chart are coming into the market. There are various letter, English, Hindi, Urdu, Bangla, letter, content, a special pattern, right? So they are also used here, number and letter. Now what is the conclusion? I just write it, the final conclusion of all this. Bulb, I just use black because might be possibility you are not visual for this. The basically 5 parameter. Basically what is the first one is the bulb, aperture controlling. Second one 12 diopter condensing lens. Third one 3 prism. Fourth one Snellen's chart, and the fifth one is the plus 3 diopter lens is required for the eyepiece, because sometime what happen at the spectacle plane, right? Because when we use this Snellen's chart move along with the principal axis or optical axis, they change the value up to -10 to +12 diopter, right? So within this range we can manage the patient refractive error, right? But if value is not suitable, then we again use +3 diopter at the patient eye, right, to just maintain the range, to focus the ray. Because just assume according to the length or according to the distance we also calculate the dioptric value, so +3 diopter is normally used, right? Now I will show you, if the patient is aphakic, it means simply we shift the value up to the 12 diopter, right? Because I know if their extended value is +12 basically, not +2, so +12, so we can shift the already this value up to +12 if I know the patient is aphakic. Then if we try to find out the potential acuity of that particular patient, so we shift the +12 and we can move this value up to the -10 to 12 diopter. Within this range we can change the refractive error power, right? Now I will show you the actually optical principle, what is actually happening inside the eye when we measure the potential acuity meter, right? And the last I will show you the what is the procedure to perform the PAM, right? Now I rub this part. What actually happening, just assume if this eye I zoom that part simply, right, that eye is already zoomed. When the light entering into the eye, right, through any aperture, no matter, right, just assume in this part is cataract or any type of traumatic cataract or trauma cataract. Here is a cornea is also getting opacity. So using this hole, basically just assume this is a hole, right? Not hole means that after clouding the cornea, this part is still transparent to perceive the image, right? So we shift that instrument. Basically this instrument is set up on the slit lamp biomicroscopy, right? And if you don't know what is the slit lamp biomicroscopy, it is impossible, but if you don't know, then you can go and watch the slit lamp biomicroscopy, and that session I had been discussed already. There are so many instruments which is used on the biomicroscopy like tonometry, PAM, right, all these things. So this is the PAM. We shift into the biomicroscopy and I will show you what is the procedure. Then I will show you, just assume if this path is clear, right? Second case, first case I take a cataract, second case I take is the corneal opacity, right? So if this path is still transparent, then here this type of formation is take place, right? And just assume if the PAM, potential acuity meter chart, carry the letter up to 20 by 400 to 20 by 20, right? Just assume if this here is this type of chart, right? Right. So if patient is visible any letter of this chart, here the same value is formed like this, right? So basically this is the game happening inside the eye, right, when we use the potential acuity measurement, right? Now how this thing are we as a practitioner placed inside the eye, right? It's not as much easy as I describe all these things, right? It is basically little bit hazard or exhausted for the patient, or not only the patient, as for the examiner, because it takes only one eye takes approximately 5 to 6 minutes for measurement of all the entire things, right? I will show you. So this is the chart 9. I will delete and I will show you the optical part of basically potential acuity meter. What is actually happening? Just imagine this is eye, right? This is eye, and this is a P point where light is projected, right? After light is emerging from here, they simply fall into the retina, but here and here at the distance of f, and again here at the spectacles plane, right? Here is a condensing lens, I already told you, and basically this part contain the Snellen's chart inside the potential acuity meter, right? And all these things are already printed on the number and letter is variable according to the patient, because some patient are not unable to read this thing, then you can project that one. So this is the basically target, this is the lens, condensing lens, 12 diopter condensing lens, and this is the basically a spectacle plane, right? So by moving this part, basically by moving target, we can shift these things according to the patient refractive error. And how much the value, I already told you, minus 10 to plus 12, right? Or might be possibility the newer modern technique use plus 15 or up to 15, right? And this is a zero value, right? Because if patient is no refractive error, then you can use at the zero, right? So this is the optical principle of when we perform the potential acuity measurement. Now we talk about the procedure. We simply switch off the light of clinic, means room should be dark, right? Because if there of any type of distraction is present inside the room, you just simply assume patient is not cooperate with that target, right? Patient again and again try to fix it itself on that particular target if there is any illumination in the room. As a practitioner, you also switch off the slit lamp target light, because if they also glow, again patient try to fix it on that target, right? So means room should be dark, right? The second one, patient should be comfortably sit on the chair, right? And the third one, pupils should be dilated. Why? You may ask me why. If pupils should be properly dilated, right, then you can use and you can easily find the window through which you can put that potential acuity meter through the biomicroscopy, right? And you can enter the ray to formation of the retinal image, right? So pupil dilation is compulsory, right? After that, when you find the through the window light is going to the patient eye, it's okay. You may also assist the patient, you can also use or move the all the setup to and forth, left and right, to just allow the light inside the eye, right? When the patient start cooperate with you, it is very easy for you to entering the light inside the eye. And after inside entering the light, patient start telling you, because this is a subjective test, right? Patient cooperate with you to tell which letter is, and your motto or your basic fundamental perspective is to achieve that letter at the finest line, means 20 by 20, right? If not, then okay, then record value that value up to where patient is stopped, right? So after recording this value, there is some thing which you have to keep in your mind when you start projecting, right? You tell the patient to just start communicating without moving their chin, means just start talking with because just for not after some time patient is getting bored. Why? Because it takes long process. Unless you are not find the window, until you are not going to perform this test, right? So after finding this test, you can record that value. And this is the one case if the glaucoma, right? So you can also measure, and if there is cataracts, so pre and post cataract you can also use this value, because sometimes if pre cataract vision is up to this, after cataract vision should be up to that line, but might be possibly they getting reduced. So as a examiner, how much getting reduced, right? Because if you are not finding these things, patient might be reimbursement things are getting created at that time, right? Because finally or initially I see up to this line, after surgery why we are not achieving that line. So you can achieve this thing, retina is okay or not, might be vision is getting restored or not after surgery. So because as a practitioner there are so many issues you have to put in your mind before going to any clinical surgical procedure, right? Or any clinical major surgery for the that particular patient according to their case, right? So I think so up to this everybody is clear. Thank you.